Welcome to One on One. I'm your host, Lee Adams, and today I've come out into the land of orange and black. The land of orange and black is Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, and we are here talking to two very special guests, talking about a really special person that we're going to, that has a whole lot going on around him. And I'm real excited to do this show today because I read about all this, and now I'm really going to learn all about this, and you guys are going to learn all about this, and it's going to be great. Our first guest is someone that has been on our show many, many times because she is a very, very successful high school girls basketball coach at Bethel Park High School. She won the first WPL championship in their school history, and she's not only a great leader for the girls in Bethel Park, but she's also a great role model. Please let me introduce, and I'd like to welcome Jonna Burke. Jonna, it's great to have you.
Great to be here, Lee. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. And next to Jonna is a fellow that really has a very personal relationship with the story that we're going to talk about today. He is the brother of David Fabus, who was Joey Fabus's father, and he's the vice president of the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Please let me introduce and welcome Frank Fabus. Thanks for coming, Frank.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So, Joey has become somewhat of a celebrity here in the South Hills, and I think more than just the South Hills. I think Pittsburgh, because it was in the Post-Gazette and everything. So, Jonna, talk a little bit about his celebrity from how you could see it.
Sure. Well, I did not know Joey prior to learning about the fact that he had been diagnosed with DIPG in May of 2014. And at that point, it seemed as if the entire community kind of wanted to help and wanted to do whatever they could to help Joey and his family through what was an awful nightmare of a time for their family. And I think along in that process, not only Bethel Park, but the greater South Hills community, including into the Pittsburgh community in the area, got to know about Joey because he was such a fantastic little boy, and people started holding fundraisers for him and wanted him to come to their events. And so he just kind of just won everybody over with his big heart and his big smile. And I really feel fortunate that I was actually able to, in fact, meet him.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Frank, you've known him since he was a little boy.
Sure, since his birth.
His birth, well, he still was a little boy, but
Yep.
Talk about the kind of boy he was.
He was a quiet boy. We actually, when we would always see him, he had to smile, always had a smile. And we always thought he knew something. And he was always a polite boy, always come up, hi, Uncle Frank, ever since he could talk. Uncle Jeff, our other brother, and he was just that kind of a boy. He was just so polite from since he could talk.
And so, just tell us about what happened, when it happened, when he was diagnosed, and when did it all start? All this a roller coaster of real difficult times for the family.
Well, it started in May of 2014, and he was having a little bit of trouble walking, having some balance issues, and then I believe it was his left eye, started to turn in towards his nose a little bit, and my brother and his wife Cindy, who's a nurse, took him to Children's Hospital just for an MRI, and the results weren't good.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, you have kids, I have kids, and it's just unimaginable, isn't it?
It is. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it, and that I don't feel for them, and that's, to me, the reason that I want to be involved in however I can to help raise funds and to help stop the monster that's DIPG.
Yeah. So Frank, when this started to happen, how did their family handle it?
Well, it was hard because this is David's second child that has passed away.
What?
17 years ago, he had a daughter, Hannah, and I'm not sure. She was born with an illness. She was sick. Her kidneys were, if I recall, were rock hard. And there is a name for it, and I don't know what it is. But she lived actually 16 months before she passed away.
How old
so
was
this
she?
is their second child.
Wait.
She was 16 months.
16
and that
months.
was 17 years ago. And Hannah was born with this problem that we knew she would be sick her whole life. But with this DIPG, which actually stands for diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, and each one of those words has a meaning. And if I could just tell you about the tumor a little bit, it's not a normal tumor that is a mass. It becomes entwined into the brainstem. And your brainstem is like a piece of yarn that has many pieces in it. And when it gets into that brainstem of a child, it grows tentacles. And so you can't attack just a tumor. There's a lot more involved, and the tumor and the tentacles eventually close off functions such as breathing or walking or sight or things like that.
So this is the second child they lost.
It is. They're amazing people.
How did they endure this?
Well, family.
The second time around.
The Bethel Park community. There's no doubt. They just supported David and Cindy so much that they were able to keep going, and they came up with the foundation, of course, which is going to. My brother David has worked tirelessly on it since this happened. He just finally went away for a weekend this weekend and got away from the computer, got away from research. His goal, of course, is not to let this happen to another family.
Is he able to talk about it publicly?
Not on any kind of a television or anything, no.
Yeah.
And even to people, it's still hard, understandably.
Imagine. How old was Joey when he passed?
He was 8.
8.
Yes, and this cancer normally hits kids within the range of 8 to 12 years old. If you're diagnosed with it, it's a death sentence. There's no hope at all. And that's why we have to get out there. And a little bit about our foundation. I might be jumping the gun on you, but our goal, and John is a huge help in it, of course, is to get money right into hands of researchers. We don't want it to go to administration costs. We don't want it to go to big CEOs who are already making a fortune. And David's tireless research has found a way that we can get it right into the hands of people who are researching it. Many years ago, this research wasn't available.
This is an off-the-wall question. Is there anybody in the family that went to Penn State? Think about it. Maybe
no.
Off the top of your head, maybe you don't know. And the only reason I bring this up is because both of my kids went to Penn State University. Penn State University has the largest student-run fundraiser for childhood cancer themselves.
Right, their dance,
the Thon.
Yep, Dance-a-thon.
And they raised, this past year, they raised over $13 million.
Now, again, Lee, we're talking about a cancer that, this cancer, when we first heard about it, it was 100 kids a year were getting it. Turns out it's probably closer to 500 kids a year. And a lot of those kids that were diagnosed were probably diagnosed with a childhood brain cancer, not this specific cancer. And so this may have been overlooked years ago, whereas now there's research going right for this specific cancer.
Well, I bring it up because I'm sure there'll be Penn State people watching this show, and my daughter and her now husband were very, very involved in this. And, maybe if there's some Penn State people involved in your family somehow, maybe there's some way that you guys could talk together because they got a lot of money.
Yeah, my son went to Pitt, so.
Well, I love
Sorry
Pitt,
about
too.
that.
I love Pitt. I love Pitt and Penn State. It's just that they're doing something pretty spectacular.
They are.
When it
when
comes
they have
to
that
this.
dance-a-thon,
Yeah.
it's a dance-a-thon. It's amazing.
It really is. And so the foundation, whose idea was the foundation?
It was Dave and Cindy's.
Okay. And so I assume they communicated that to you.
Yes.
Yeah. And so how did they say it? What did they tell you they wanted to do?
Well, basically, they wanted to make sure this didn't happen to another kid. We're not going to stop that yet, but we're on the verge. There is a lot of research on this specific cancer, and they're finding out that they were looking in one direction, and now maybe they're looking in the other direction and finding a little bit more success in identifying how it starts. And it's, I'm sure, all gene-related, like most cancers. So David's goal was to not let this happen to another kid, or to help another family that is unaware of this. And a couple of kids in the area have come down with it. Do you recall them talking about that?
Yes, there's another little boy currently in the same situation, and I know the Fabus family is in contact with them and is trying to provide help, morally and financially.
From Bethel?
No, from the Pittsburgh area, from
Okay.
Moon Township, I believe.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And the families, when you get hit with this, you don't understand what's going on. And so now, hopefully we can reach somebody else.
Oh yeah, and that's why we're doing this today. So he starts the foundation, and how did you gain this pretty significant role in it?
Well, I have another brother, Jeffrey, and Dave asked both of us to be on the board and maybe help when David wasn't able to be there. We could cover for Dave and Cindy if they had something else going on. So of course I accepted it. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, so I jumped right on. And Jeffrey, actually, we were both vice presidents. He's now been promoted to the director. Do you know what the title is?
We'll call him
He's like the head honcho of fundraising and events. Even if it's not a fundraising event, if it's an event to just get knowledge out there, Jeffrey's going to be in charge of that. I'll stay the vice president, where I have a pretty easy role. I talk to nice people like you.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, this is an interesting story. So, Joey was kind of a pretty special young boy, and there was some, I guess, parts of some of the media talked about some of the stories. I want you to talk about the police story to the people that are watching this.
Do you want to take it, or do you want me to take it?
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it started that Joey, I have a few relatives that are in law enforcement, FBI, and Joey always idolized those people. And since I could remember, he wanted to be a policeman. He had police uniforms, police cars everywhere. So I'm not exactly sure how Officer Rigotti caught on, Bethel Park officer, but when they found out how sick Joey was, the police departments, including all the way to West Virginia, and I believe Virginia, just jumped on this, and through Facebook and some other social media, all got involved unbelievably. I mean, they jumped on it. And so Joey wanted to be a policeman, and Officer Rigotti would spend a lot of time at the house, and that cheered Joey up quite a bit.
And he became a police officer.
And he actually was sworn in as a police officer. Judge Arnone swore him in, and he became a what would you call it?
Honorary
police officer. And so with that happening, all the police departments accepted him as a brother, as policemen do. And so they were sending him patches and badges, just as much as they could to try to keep his spirits up. And it really helped my brother and his wife also to see that support from the law enforcement departments.
Well, Frank, I'm the son of a Pittsburgh police officer, and he was 42 years old when he died in 1971 of a heart attack, and he worked the Martin Luther King riots in the city of Pittsburgh. So I have great respect and affection for law enforcement, to say the least. And I'm just so happy to hear how much they really adopted him and took him in.
It was amazing. He was an officer. In their eyes, he was an officer.
So, Joanna, what were you going to say?
I was going to say he had a full policeman's funeral as well.
The funeral was amazing. Yeah, she may have to talk about that.
Well, as much as I know, that there were hundreds of police officers that came from as far away as West Virginia and Virginia to attend his funeral, and he received all the same privileges and honors that a lifelong police officer would have.
In fact, the day of his funeral, 200 officers came to say goodbye, and it delayed our funeral an hour and a half.
That's okay.
Which was amazing. That all the people from Bethel Park lined the streets from the cemetery, which I guess is in South Park, Bethel Park border, all the way to Mount Lebanon.
That's incredible.
And they had to wait an hour and a half because of all the police to come say goodbye. And it was a freezing day and a snowy day.
Yes. Yeah.
And the nice thing was that they kept their children with them and let them see what was going on. So it kind of taught them.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely. And I remember those not the same, but police officer at my father's funeral, so it had to be special. So there's a story, though, John, I want you to say it how you know it, about Joey riding with a police officer.
Well, all that I know is that when he got sworn in as an officer, he was able to go out in a police car and ride along. And I believe that they pulled over they gave a citation, I should say, to the police officer he was riding with's daughter. I'm not sure what.
She ran a stop sign.
She ran a stop sign.
Joey saw her and said, she ran a stop sign. And so they caught up with her.
Joey said that?
Joey saw it happen. There's a policeman in the car.
He had to do it.
And he had to do it. And that's part of this story is he had to go write her a ticket. So it's on Facebook. They videotaped it.
They videotaped the citation?
He wrote her a citation.
Oh, my goodness.
He actually explained to her what she did wrong and why he had to pull her over. And it was very interesting. He knew what he was talking about. And so they, of course, the young lady had to go in front of the judge. The judge talked about it and asked the officer, Joey Fabus, what should we do? And you probably know the words better than me.
Well, he asked for leniency for the girl, and I think the judge honored that request. So he went easy on her.
That's a great story.
Yes, it is.
That's a really great story.
It really is. And then the county sheriffs took off with it. There was just so many people involved. That was so great and so helpful to the family.
That's a great story. Now, there's a Yugoslav bike run. Why don't you talk about that, Frank?
All right, real quick, it's just coming up this Sunday. It's the Yugoslav Club has a bike run, from what I've been told, every year. And this year they're going to help the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. And what they're doing is they're having a registration at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then the bike run will start at 11. Kickstands are up at 11. And after the bike run, there's a big, huge picnic, and I hope everyone can make it. It's at the South Park Oval. It's the museum building, the building with the big clock. And there's going to be refreshments, and there's going to be children activities and entertainment. And the Childhood Cancer Foundation that we are a part of is raffling off a motorcycle. And it's going to be based on, the ticket is going to be picked. Somebody's going to win that bike. It's not on a lottery. And we also have a $5,000 cash lottery also going off at that.
Oh, my goodness.
So the Yugoslav Club has been nothing but great about it, helping out the foundation. And, it's, again, I hate to keep going back, but we don't want another kid to go through this, or family.
Yeah, I'll say. So, Jonah, you run a really successful high school girls basketball program, and it's a program. I mean, every year you're successful and you're winning and win championships. So I understand that Joey came to your practice, is that right?
Yeah, he visited us last November. We have a shootout every year where a bunch of teams come in the fall and play 3 games, and just as a tune-up for the season. And our booster organization was on board this year with donating the proceeds from that shootout and everything we had that day. We had a bake sale, and we were the concession stand, all the things we did that day to the Fabus family to help them through their ordeal. And I said to Dave, I have this check for you guys. I'll just drop it off, whatever, on your porch, whatever. I didn't want to bother them. And he said, no way, we want to come and see you. So he and the family and Joey all came to visit us one evening in November, and we had a couple little gifts for Joey, like some basketball and just stuff like that. But the big hit of the evening for him was an automatic police car that he could drive all over the gym floor. The girls absolutely adored him. It was impossible not to. He's such a sweet little guy, and Dave has since sent me some of the videos from that night, and they're just precious. He's laughing and having a good time. The girls kind of formed a human tunnel for him to drive the car through. He was amazing at driving that car. I don't know how to do it. And we just got to spend some nice time with him, and my girls have really got to know the story and enjoy him and that night. And there's not a day that goes by in practice that 6 or 7 of them don't have a shirt on. We all have so many different shirts, and they always, yes, and they wear them It's just, and we like to try to get involved. I have some of my girls on my team helping at the bike run, and they're going to help with the 5K, and they help with the spaghetti dinner. They want to be involved still, so it's really nice. I think it's important for them to understand, that sense of community and how you can help. And I think we all kind of learned an important life lesson from him as well.
You have really good girls, Jonna.
I'm fortunate. I do. They're good kids. They come from good parents, and I'm lucky, and I know it.
But they're not going to get involved with the Joey Fabus Foundation unless you're going to do that, and you did that. So did you reach out to them? How did the connection occur?
Well, yeah, I wanted to do something, as I did everybody in the community. And fortunately, in my position, I have a team behind me. I was actually able to, try to, hey, look, we have this event coming. Let's do something with it positive, to help them. And so I was just lucky, to have the means, and the people and the good people around me and the basketball boosters that wanted to help.
Well, you're just using your position in such an honorable way, and I think it's just really wonderful.
Well, again, it's about Joey. So.
It is about Joey, but I think you do a great job.
And it brings characters to the girls.
I agree.
By far,
Yeah.
makes them who they are too.
Oh, and that's
and they're champions. Who else would you rather have on your side than the champion?
John is not just the coach of this team. She's their mentor. She's their leader. She's their role model. So when they see her do this, they're going to do this when they grow up. So it's just great stuff.
Well, we hope so.
And this is where Joey took everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Joey has just become such a celebrity in this area. And even now that he's gone, we're still talking about him. So that just shows how special this boy was.
Yeah.
And, Jonna didn't have to ask me twice to do this because we're happy to do this. And so there's a Pirate game coming up. And before we talk about the Pirate game, there's a Pirate story that I want you to share, Frank. And this is pretty special.
It is. It's very special. Joey was honored to be asked to throw out a first pitch at a Pirate game. Little did we know, and I'm saying we, the family didn't even know, Joey was going to be presented that day with a special electric car from the sheriff's department, that replica of their sheriff's car, right on the field. But Joey got to throw out a first pitch, and before the game, he was on the warning track with me in front of the dugout, and he was like, I'm nervous. When he went out on that field, you thought he was a celebrity that had been there a million times, waving to everybody all around. But it was a great experience for Joey to get out there and do that. And so afterwards, and at the time, Joey wasn't, he didn't have a lot of strength. His strength would eventually run out a little bit. So we put him in a wheelchair, and my brother David wheeled him into the hallway to where the Pirates come out. And a bunch of the Pirates ran by, gave him 5. But Pedro Alvarez stopped, leaned down to Joey to talk to him, say, good luck. And my brother David said to Joey, tell him they hit a home run for you. And Joey said, could you hit a home run for me? And his first at bat, he did.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that is like story. Babe Ruth.
It is. Pedro couldn't promise it. I understand that. But his first, I believe it was even the first pitch, and he hit it right out of the park.
Do you know how hard it is to hit a home run in the major leagues?
It is.
And so Pedro, he didn't promise it, right?
He did not promise it, but he told him, I will try.
I will try.
More than anything, Pedro took a minute to say hello.
Yeah. Now, that's great stuff. And, the Pirates have just been such a big story in this city the last couple of years, and that's just really
And we don't see the things they do behind the scenes, such as the game on the 23rd is a fireworks night, a Thursday. They're giving a proceed of a bunch of tickets, and if anyone still can get tickets, call Val at the Pirate office. Tell them you want to be with the Joey Foundation, the Fabus family, anything that involves Joey. Say, I want to buy tickets for Joey. And the proceeds from those ticket sales will go to our foundation.
So who's running? Are you running that? Are you the point person for that event?
No, actually, you could call Val, and I don't know Val's last name, but she's with the Pittsburgh Pirates in tickets sales, and she will make sure that they take care of us.
That's good stuff. That's really.
And they didn't have to do anything, and they did. Same with Jonna. These people jump on board. And that's amazing.
It really is, and you know, before the show, I saw pictures of Joey in the paper when his face was kind of expanded from the drugs that he was taking.
That was the steroids, yes.
Yeah. And I'm not sure everybody got to see the difference in him. So it doesn't even look like him, basically, you know, after the medication took hold, right?
It doesn't look anything like him, and his even his demeanor changed, and his personality actually did change too.
And how so? I mean, you mean that the medication just really took a toll on him?
It took a huge toll.
How could it not?
Yeah, I mean, he was. If your body expands like that, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And he was always hurting, but he never really complained, according to my brother.
Really?
Which I understand. You know, children don't know what adults know. We see it and it's ugly. They feel it. They don't know what's going on. You know,
right.
The change is drastic to us, but to them, it's just over time changed it. He doesn't really notice until it starts hurting and you're tired, can't do what other kids do.
What was your relationship like with Joey?
Oh, it was pretty good. I live in the South Hills, so I was able to go out to see them occasionally at their house. I have a family. You know, everyone has their families, so I wasn't there every week. But we would see, we had a tight family, and we still do, and we would see each other quite a bit.
So, John, you know, you've had some interaction with the Fabus family. Just talk about that, you know, and your interaction, the things you've talked about and done with them.
Well, like I said a little bit earlier, when all of this happened, I just kind of felt like a pit in my stomach, and I wanted to somehow help. I think like everybody wanted to help, and you basically know that you couldn't really help, but you just kind of wanted to. And so that's kind of been my stance since I learned about it all. And it kind of started with the fundraiser that we tried to hold, that we held last October with our shootout. And then we did another game. We kind of had a game where all the teams in our section participated in by, you know, purchasing a shirt, an anti-cancer shirt, and we wore them in warm-ups that night.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you know, and I just kind of got to know the Fabuses over time, and I just feel really strongly about this and helping, because I have kids, and it's just not right, you know, that more funding isn't there for the research and more research isn't being done for this. And I never want to overstep my bounds with them. I just want to be a help, and whatever I can do to help is what I want to do. And I've told them time and again, I'm in it for the long haul. You know, however we can help. I know coming up in October again, every year, our shootout is, the boosters have decided, I'm very unselfishly to donate half of whatever we make that day, always to the foundation from here out. So we're always going to be involved because we want to be, and we just want to help.
That's so great. Your kids, you know, I've had many of your kids on our show over the years, and because of their success. And it sounds like you didn't really have to talk, there wasn't much, you didn't have to talk them into it too much to help you.
Not at all, not at all. You know, and I choose to believe that would be the way it would be with most teams, with most kids, because, you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, well, teenagers, and this is wrong and that's wrong, but really, there's a lot of good in there too, you know, and these kids, I mean, they wanted to help too, in any way they could, you know, and I think they were glad and happy for the opportunity to help, because everybody, I think, has been touched in some way by cancer, and this just magnifies everything when you see a little boy like Joey go through what, and their family go through what they did, but everybody knows somewhat, has a cancer story, and I think that people can, if they can help, they want to help.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story real quick about how I think teenagers want to help too, but teenagers got a lot of things going on, you know, in their life, and you're in the middle of all that, the good, the bad, and everything in between of that. And a real quick story, my son, I want to teach my son to give back, and so we had foster children. That was one of the things, but the other story I always talk about is I wanted to take him to the Jubilee Soup Kitchen, and he was grumbling because I had to get him up early. Oh, I don't like to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I drag him. We get in the car. He's, how long are we going to be here? So he goes there. He's cutting up the food. And I told the people there, put him on the line so he can serve the food. So he does that. He gets in the car, and he was so happy. And why? I mean, he didn't want to go. But then after he saw he could help, they're happy, right? But it's our job to lead them,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And that's why you are such a good leader for your girls. And I think I'm sure the Fabus family appreciates
Without
Johnny.
a doubt. She took over the 5K, and I'm not exactly sure how we designated her to do that, but she ran with it. And when I was talking to David about it, he's like, our first meeting a couple weeks ago, and he's like, she was a little bit nervous about taking this. As soon as she started speaking, there was no nervousness. She ran with it, and she has it totally under control, right?
Yes.
See, and she did. I mean, she had a paper. She was so organized. I kept saying, "Why am I here?"
She's a basketball coach.
She has it under control. And another
She has
thing
the
about her
game
girls,
plan.
they didn't just volunteer and be there. They worked hard. They were tireless. And again, that probably runs back to Jonna. They have the respect for her.
Oh, big time. And so, Jonna, did it seem a bit daunting with everything you do and the kids and the job you have to take that on also?
Sure, and it is at times, but I'm very fortunate that there are so many people that are helping me. I mean, I am certainly not doing this alone. There is no way one person could do or plan a 5K. We have a great committee of people and dedicated volunteers that want to help. I mean, it's easy. You mentioned Joey's name, and people want to help.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 5K. Let's talk about where it is, when it is, how it's going to happen, how you can join the whole thing.
Sure. The 5K is September 20th, 2015 at Bethel Park High School.
This is after school starts.
After school starts. It's in fact 1 week before the Great Race. It would be a great tune-up if anybody out there is running the Great Race. This is a nice way to get a speed run in before that. It's going to take place at 9 o'clock in the morning. It begins and ends at the high school, and it involves using some of the streets behind the high school. And basically, you can register anytime from now up all the way till race day. But there are some discounts available if you register prior to August 31st. You can go to joeyfabus.com, and there's all kind of information on the website about the race, including the link where you can register for only $25 all the way up until August 31st. The race itself is called the Joey Fabus Superhero Run Over DIPG 5K Race Walk. And the reason with the superhero in there is because Joey loved superheroes, especially Captain America. And Dave thought it would be a great idea to include superheroes in the event because Joey loved them, and really we think that it's appropriate because Joey was a superhero to so many people. Anybody that got to know him or his story thought that he was the superhero. So we're kind of encouraging people that day to bring out their inner superhero, to wear a superhero shirt, a mask, a cape, whatever you feel like you want to do to show that inner superhero. We're encouraging that. We have some really fun things planned for the day as well for kids, because we anticipate a lot of kids coming out to the event. Along the superhero lines, we're in fact having volunteers. There's an organization that volunteers superheroes and princesses, and they're going to be coming out dressed up as your favorite superheroes and princesses and available to take pictures with kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited. We're going to have a face painter on hand. Steel City Gamers is on board to come with their truck and all their games. I know a lot of kids love their video games. They'll be there to play. We're going to have some carnival-like games. So it's kind of going to be more than just a 5K, because we know some people will want to run the 5K or walk the 5K, and if their kids don't want to do that, that's okay, because we have all these things for them to do, and we're going to have plenty of volunteers there to watch the kids and while mom and dad run the race. But we're also hoping that a lot of kids will want to take place or go ahead and register as well, because it's most of them got to know Joey as well. So he's their fellow student and their friend, and I think they would like to honor him by participating in one way or another.
And you're a runner. You and your husband are runners, aren't you?
Well, my husband is a runner.
Your husband.
I just run a little bit here and there. So my husband is going to run the race.
He's like a big runner, isn't
He's
he?
a big runner.
Like marathon kind of
He's
runner.
that kind of runner,
Wow.
and he wants to run and do his best in this race for Joey. And because we have cash prizes available, we really want to make it a special run. So we're trying to attract all kind of people. We have cash prizes for our first 3 male and female finishers. We have age group prizes all the way from 11 years old, or whatever, under 11 all the way up to 80 years old. We're giving awards. It's just, we want to encourage people to come out and take part and be a superhero that day.
That sounds fantastic, John.
I recently worked a 5K, and a lot of families did run. And at the end, you could see the joy that they had in helping, accomplish a goal. The families were there together, and they had a great time. And it just seemed like the kids hung around their parents a little more, which you don't always get that anymore. But the kids were just with their parents and excited that they did it.
Your T-shirt is awesome, Frank.
Thank
Can
you.
people get that?
Yes, you can get this. One of our websites is the jfccf.org, and I'm not sure if you can order it on that, but there's contacts on there. David is kind of the one he's in charge of the shirts right now. But yeah, you can get it. Go on that website or joey.com.
JoeyFabus.com is the same.
JoeyFabus.com, and just get a hold of somebody in the group, and we'll get you a shirt. We'll get them out to you.
And John, you got a Joey shirt on too. So is there did the runners get a shirt to run? Is that how it works?
Well, yes. However, it won't be one of these 2 shirts. There's
Okay.
going to be a specially designed shirt for the 5K with the superhero and this run included on it, with all of our sponsors on the back. But it's going to be a special Joey Fabus shirt, and we will, of course, have these for sale at the race. At Community Day, we're going to have them for sale as well, in Bethel Park Community Day. And all the proceeds from the shirts go to the foundation.
So is it like mostly going to be orange and black, the Bethel colors?
No, there's a lot of different shirts.
We have a green and gold one that's really nice. We have a black and gold. Black and gold seems to be one of the best sellers because it associates.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know, but it has something to do with maybe Pirates, Steelers, Penguins.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe City of Champions,
Yeah.
which people who come and support us, they are champions.
Wow.
And I real quick, the money that we raise through the foundation, it's all going to charity. Nobody's making a penny on this except the research. It's going right to the research people.
Now,
And by that I mean right to the doctors who are doing the research.
that's fantastic.
It is.
That's fantastic.
And that's who needs to get the money.
You're right. Because and I'll say this. I was at a function at work not long ago, and a fellow was there. He's an older gentleman, and he said he used to work at the Hillman Cancer Center a long time ago. And the cancer outcomes back then were terrible. I mean, like 5% of the people would survive. Mm-hmm. Well, the cancer outcomes today are way better. I mean, the odds have just risen dramatically in terms of good outcomes. Now, Joey was unfortunate. And a little boy at 8 years old that had so much life to him could have done so much with his life. And I think that's possibly part of why this is all taken off like it's taken off. I mean, do you think so, Jonna?
Well, absolutely, because it's something that you see, a little boy that's just like any other little kid in your neighborhood, in your life, and the world gets turned upside down in a matter of days. And when you realize that something like this can happen to somebody you know or in your community, it really affects you. And the thing is, like you said, a lot of advances have been made, but unfortunately for the last 30 years, advances have not been made in DIPG research. So that is where the money is going, because something needs to be done. Because while they have been calling it a rare cancer in children, rare isn't so rare anymore when there are 300 to 500 kids a year dying from this. And like Frank said, there's really no great treatment option available now. So it's more like a death sentence, and that's why we're determined to raise as much money as we can and keep doing it year after year to further the research for this kind of cancer.
Frank, Joey was a gardener?
He was a gardener. He loved working out in the yard, planting a garden, and he had a really huge garden for a couple of years. And he got a kick out of the animals coming and eating it too, sharing in his garden. So he had deer there, of course, in Bethel Park. There's deer everywhere. And so he had deer and other animals, rabbits. And so he loved planting the food and eating the food, and then he shared it with everybody.
That's funny because there's a lot in the news about the South Hills people trying to get rid of the deer.
Well,
So
that's not Bethel Park. Bethel Park people are great about it. And we're not going to talk about that other community.
It's funny, but so he didn't mind the deer coming by and getting a little
Well, he
bite.
didn't want them to eat everything,
Right,
but
right.
I think they got a kick out of watching them too. Joey has some other siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters still there at the house, so they all enjoyed it. They all enjoyed their garden, benefited, and Cindy would share the produce with everybody.
I think that's so great. And I just planted my first vegetable not long ago, and I planted beets, and people look at me like, beets? But I like beets, and so I planted beets. So I think that's really neat that he really liked to garden, because this is how
especially
you
at a young
eat.
age of 6 years old. I think he was 5 or 6 when he started that, so it's interesting.
It sounds
But like John has said, we all are involved because how could a kid go from that 1 minute to something else the next? And we don't want that to happen.
right. Right.
That's our goal.
So, Jonna, do you have your high school team involved, or you got your entire program involved
With the foundation?
with any of this stuff?
Well, with most of this stuff, it's my team. And also, I've reached out to all of the high school coaches to inform them about the 5K and to ask for their help that day. So I've heard back from a handful of them. They're all, they want to help. We're going to have a lot of the high school teams and participants from the teams, because surely not everybody will be able to do it. But they're going to be there volunteering on race day, helping out with whatever we need to help out with, because everybody feels, I know at least at the high school, at Bethel Park High School, that how can we help?
And not just a high school, and you might be able to help me more on this, but the elementary school that he went to.
Absolutely. Washington Elementary School. They're involved. They're getting a whole team together to run the race.
Joey's class for the whole year was nothing but helpful, trying to lift his spirit. I can't even mention all the things I've seen that they've done for him. And these are 8-year-old kids that you're asking to do this, and they do it with no reservation. They just go out and do it.
So was he their only child? His parents, was Joey the only boy in the family? Did he have brothers or sisters?
He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Joey was the youngest.
Okay. So what's your sense on how they've handled this after this terrible tragedy?
Well, in my opinion, I don't know how they do it. It's been phenomenal. But they've stuck together really tight. If something needs done, they're there to help. The children are. And this weekend we went away. We went to Conneaut Lake with David and Cindy and his 2 other sons, Josh and Nick. And
How old are they?
I believe Josh is 13 or 14 and Nick is 10. Clarissa's the oldest, and I believe she's 23, 22. And Olivia just turned 17. And Olivia is a cheerleader at Bethel Park High School.
So there was 5 kids.
Yes.
In their family. And
There was, and then Hannah, their second child, died when she was 16 months. So as far as a family, they're phenomenal. They really are.
And what it sounds to me as if is that they're taking the grief and they're trying to put it in a positive direction.
There's no doubt.
Does that make sense?
There's no doubt. You could go 2 ways. You could go, totally depressed and sad, or you can do something about it and move on and realize that this happened. Okay, let's do something about it. Can't do anything about what happened in the past, but we can do something about the future. And that's what Dave and Cindy are trying to do.
Right. And I think it's great that you two have taken such roles in trying to help.
Our roles are minor compared to what they do.
Absolutely.
Right. But but still, it's important, I think. And I'm just going to say this to you, Frank. If they ever feel like they can talk about this, they always are welcome to come on my show.
Well, thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
Tell them that.
And this is what it's all about, is awareness.
Right.
We had no clue, David and his family had no clue about anything like this. And like Jonna said, she has kids, I have grandchildren, we don't, the awareness is there now, at least in our communities.
Right.
And, from there, good things can happen.
Right, and I mean, the staff here at BPTV, they do such a great job that this is not just shown in Bethel Park. Dave has expanded it to YouTube and internet avenues, and just the last I looked, there we're in over 100 some countries doing this
amazing.
show. So
and that's another thing. This isn't restricted to the United States. I actually had David brought me a flash drive for the 5K. He wanted to make a banner of all the kids who have had DIPG or who have passed away from it. So he gave me a flash drive with 88 pictures. That's amazing that that many children have died, and we have reached those families, and they have reached us.
And that's how I look at this. I mean, it's not just like Bethel Park or versus a Mount Lebanon. This is something, or Pittsburgh versus the rest of the world. We're all on this planet, right?
Yeah, we are.
I mean, this could happen to anybody.
And the kids can't speak. It takes us to do it. Right. We have to do it for them.
Right.
And they can't do what we can do. They can't go talk to a senator or a congressman. We can. And David has. David has reached out, and a lot of politicians have really helped him. Joey also had I didn't mention this, I forgot. The city of Pittsburgh had a Joey Fabus day in Pittsburgh.
Did they really?
Yeah. Mayor Peduto was there, and and that was because of a friend, Brian Drusky. It was supposed to be Brian Drusky Day. And Brian's
he's
an
a concert promoter.
Yes. And he said, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about Joey. Again, Joey reaching somebody who we never knew and now we're friends with. And Brian said, let's make it Joey Fabus Day. Well, they ended up having both of them.
Wow. I mean, I actually do some work at the Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead, and he does a lot of the concerts there. And he is a good guy, and I think it's great that he got involved. So this thing has really taken off, hasn't it, Jonna?
Absolutely, and I feel very honored and grateful to be a part of it.
And I could understand how you would think that, and so it sounds like this is not something though that's just going to happen for a few months. This sounds like this is going to kind of take some legs and really take off. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. What we want to do, are the hopes of, I believe, of the foundation are to keep fresh in everybody's minds, to keep the awareness there, to have several events throughout each year to raise funds and awareness, and let's let it get bigger and bigger as time goes by. Because we said, okay, well, this is our first year for the 5K, and we have so many good people on board willing to help, and our hope is that next year it's 2 times the size that it's going to be this year, because people that come are going to have such a great time, and it's going to be such a good event, and that's with all of the things that we're doing. Because it is new, and the things that they have accomplished already within the foundation for only having been a foundation for 6 months, it's incredible.
Is that all it is, Ben?
It's been 6 months.
What day he died in the winter?
Yes, January. I believe it was 21st.
I think it was
21st. It was the 21st.
That was right during your season.
Yes, it was. In fact, we did not have school that day. It was a snowy day, and also we believe it was because the funeral and the the procession, I should say, was going through the town, and people wanted to come out and show their support for Joey that day. And we, in fact, played Mount Lebanon that night.
Wow. Yeah, I think I remember that day. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to my daughter and her husband, who have been tremendously active in Thon at Penn State, and see if, I know there's going to be some Penn State people to watch this, to see if the Penn State Pediatric Cancer Dance Marathon that they do every year and raise bucket loads of money, and you can see them in the wintertime, they're out there with their cans, and I mean, all that money goes for research too. They don't have any fat in that money. So,
right.
And that's all student driven. That's not just a bunch of big, and they got corporations on board now. So I mean, that thing has taken off to be incredible and the amount of money they've raised. So I wonder if there could be a way to partner in some ways. I'm going to talk to them about that. But I'm just happy that we had some time to spend together. This is way more than I thought it was. This is way more. I read the articles. I knew it happened. But I didn't realize it's taken on what it's taken on. And Jonna, so I guess you're just going to continue to do this, huh?
Yes, I want to be a part of it for as long as they'll have me, and for as much as I can give to it, I want to give to it.
And that's wonderful. Frank, you're going to stay on as the vice president?
There's no doubt. At least as a vice president. Looks like I got thrown into this role, media relations.
Well, is this your first TV show?
Well, actually, I was on another one a couple of weeks ago. It was a more fun thing, but that was my first one. And so far, the witness protection hasn't caught me, so we're okay.
You're doing really good, Frank.
Well, thank you. I'm trying, but I'm shy. The way to break that is just to come out but this is
You're shy.
I am.
I'm not feeling that, Frank.
But this is something that's so important. Again, it's down to the kids. We have to be their spokesperson. Like you said, Jonna's their role model. We have to be their role models. It's up to us. We could do something about this, or we could do nothing about it. We elect to do something.
Well, this just tells me, about both of you and what you're about, because you don't really have to do this. But
you could do nothing. You could turn your head.
Right.
But you turn your head, and if it happens to a child then it breaks your heart.
Well, exactly. And I mean, it's not like Jonna doesn't have anything on her plate.
No, I'm sure she has more than enough. And we really threw this at her.
Well,
from what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I'm hearing that, and I mean, Jonna got a family, and she's the coach, and she's got all these other things going on. Yep. So this can't be easy for you.
Well, but it is, because I want to do it. I want to do it. My kids want me to do it. My husband is supportive of it. We just want to do it. We want to help. So it has nothing to do with my plate being full, because there's always room to do something that's the right thing to do, and this is the right thing to do. And we just encourage everybody that's watching to please get involved at joeyfabus.com.
I've taught my kids, if you have a decision on whether to give or not to give, giving is always a good decision. It's always the right decision.
Right.
Always.
Right.
Always.
And if you give $5 or $10, you'll get that back in a couple of days. It's not going to hurt somebody.
And you don't.
And if you give time, you'll get that back.
Right. And you don't give to get. You just give. But it ends up that you get a lot from giving. And look at all the people you're meeting and you're meeting.
Look at Jonna. Yeah, she has so much. She's been working so hard. And I'm sure it's very rewarding to her.
As is everybody. Everybody is working hard. Doubt. And it is rewarding when you see how many other people want to help as well and be involved.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you both. Is there anything else you want to say? I guess let's just go over the dates and stuff and how we can get onto these. So why don't the Yugoslav deal?
The Yugoslav bike run is Sunday the 19th. If you can't, of course, not everybody drives a motorcycle, but if you can make it to the picnic, that would be a huge support to the foundation, to the research for the DIPG. And the picnic starts at, it says 2 on the flyer, but it's 2, 3 o'clock. Come out to the South Park Museum, the big building with the clock. Have a great day. Bring your family, like Jonna said. Bring the kids and help support a great cause.
And the Pirate Game.
The Pirate Game is July 23rd. It's a Thursday night, fireworks night. Who wouldn't want to come see fireworks? Proceeds from the Pirates are going to be donated, again, to the DIPG research, and all that money's going right to research.
And maybe Pedro will hit another home run.
So it's not Jonna and I alone, it's all these other people.
Absolutely.
Right. And Jonna, just recap the 5K.
Sure. The 5K is September 20th at Bethel Park High School. We encourage you to come out that day and bring your kids, run the race. There's lots of fun games. Start getting in shape right now. You can walk it, you can run it. You can register at joeyfabus.com, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Now, this show is going to be shown after certainly the first 2 events, and most likely after the 5K also. So it's going to be shown before and after is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And so if people are watching this and some of these events have been in the rearview mirror now, let's just talk about how we can get involved with Joey Fabus.
You could go to the jfccf.org website. I was on it today, and we do have an events column that you can check, see what's going on in the future. I don't think we've really talked about the foundation, what we're going to do next year. Again, like John said, this is 6 months old. Let's see what we can do that's going to be successful, that's going to get families involved and let families have fun helping us. And they may not even know they're helping us. They're just out having fun.
Right.
And the result is, to maybe stop the IPG.
Yeah, and you can also go watch John's girls play basketball.
Please do.
And they're fantastic, so you could always go do that, right, Joanna?
Well, sure, and we will be involved again as well this year with our shootout. That's October 17th, and we'll be having events there as well, like a bake sale and some shirts for sale, and people can just swing by for a minute, catch a good basketball game or two, and help a good cause that day as well.
Is this on Facebook at all?
This race is.
The race is.
And you can look up the foundation as well.
Is it on Facebook?
The race is on Facebook. You can just start typing in Joey Fabus superhero run, and it'll come up over DIPG, but it will come up for you. There's a whole page about it all, and a link to register there. Or you could go to the jfccf.org or the joeyfabus.com website, and you'll find everything you need to know.
Well, Joanna, the last time you were here, I remember your girls were teaching us about all these other little things, Vine and Snapchat and Instagram, so I'm sure they'll figure all that out. But
exactly.
They were teaching me that one day. It was kind of fun. But anyway, I want to thank you both for coming. The hour just flew right by because we're talking about some great stuff.
Well, thank you for your help, and this is how you support us, by getting the information out there.
Well, and I'm happy to do it. And like I said, you tell their his
my
parents.
brother really appreciates your efforts also,
And
and
tell
Cindy,
him
his wife.
he always has we will do as many shows as he wants.
Now, Cindy might come on and talk, but David, I don't think you're going to get him for a while.
Well, is he as shy as you?
He's pretty shy.
Okay. Well, you weren't very shy today, Frank.
Well,
So-
there's a great cause here that I have to fight for.
I understand. And I appreciate you both coming.
Thank you very
Lee.
much.
We appreciate you.
And I want to thank you all for watching. Joey Fabus was a really special young boy that he touched a lot of people's hearts, and he is still touching their heart. Now they're trying to help other people with this terrible, terrible disease. So I hope you really enjoyed this. Frank and Joanna were nice enough to come here and spend their time and talk about Joey. And there's going to be a lot of Joey down the road. Even beyond these events, there's going to be a lot of Joey. And I'll be happy to do more television shows for Joey. So thank you all for watching. Please join us for another edition of 101. I'm your host, Lee Adams. Take care, everybody.